Welcome to the Facilitators Deep Dive Podcast, your podcast on your way to facilitation mastery.
Welcome to another deep dive, everyone. Today we've got quite the mix of source material.
I do.
We've got excerpts from John P. Kotter's Leading Change. It's it's classic for a reason.
Oh, definitely a business and leadership classic.
But then alongside that, we've got this list of current top 10 best-selling books, and I gotta say, it's an interesting mix.
It is.
There's steamy romance novels, like full-on Bratva Boss's Baby, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
An Offer from a Gentleman, The Bedroom Experiment.
Lots of romance happening on the bestseller list.
For sure. And then we've got some self-help, historical fiction, even a book about Lenin's bodyguard. It makes you wonder, what does this all say about what people are reading right now?
Right. It's a fascinating snapshot of, I guess, the collective reading mood. And, it makes you wonder if there's any connection to those insights from Kotter on navigating change.
Yeah. I mean, that's what we're here to explore. So listeners, buckle up, because we're going to dig into these sources and see what pops up, what we can connect. Now, leading change is all about, it's in the title, leading change effectively, especially in organizations. Kotter lays out this 8-step process that's been super influential.
Yeah, and what's crazy is he wrote this book way back, before the dot-com bubble burst, before the 2008 recession hit. I mean, even before smartphones were in everyone's pockets. And yet, his ideas are even more relevant today.
It's true. It's almost as if he predicted how much constant change would be the norm now, not the exception.
Right.
I mean, just think about it. Everyone listening, think about your own life right now. What are some of the major changes that you're facing? Because Kotter says organizations need to adapt. Yeah, but so do individuals.
Exactly. And maybe some of those principles in leading change can actually be surprisingly helpful for personal growth, too.
Yeah.
Not just for leading a dame, but for leading your own life through transitions.
Mm-hmm. Okay, but enough about work and self-improvement for a sec, all right? Let's get back to that bestseller list, shall we? We were talking about the romance novels earlier. Bratva Boss's Baby, An Offer from a Gentleman, The Bedroom Experiment. I mean, come on, someone out there's enjoying these, right?
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure there are plenty of romance readers out there, and hey, no judgment from me.
Yeah.
It is interesting to see how popular the genre is, though. Speaks to that universal desire for connection, for intimacy, for that happy ending.
It's true.
Even when the world feels chaotic and unpredictable, those desires remain.
Yeah, and it's almost like, while Kotter's over here telling us to embrace change, manage it strategically, these romance novels are offering a little escape from it all, a chance to, to indulge in a fantasy where everything works out perfectly.
Precisely. And a lot of these books, not just the romance, they offer that kind of escapism, They transport readers to different worlds, let them vicariously experience those intense emotions. It's like a pressure valve almost for the stress of living in a world that's constantly changing.
Which ironically brings us right back to Kotter and his point about change being the rule, not the exception. So we've got this interesting tension here, right? Kotter pushing us to lean into change, but then these bestsellers offering this temporary retreat from it.
You got it. And this raises a question for me, and I'm curious to hear what you think too, dear listener. Could there be a deeper connection between these seemingly opposite things? Between leadership and the stories people choose to escape into?
Ooh, I like where you're going with that. It's almost like both leadership and fiction are at their core about overcoming challenges, achieving goals,
right?
Just maybe on different scales.
Exactly. And, you look at a book like Mind Programming, that's about the power of the mind to shape reality. And then you've got Kotter emphasizing the need for a clear vision for change. Both require belief in the possibility of transformation, right?
Right.
And even something like 101 Ways to Jumpstart Your Intuition, that self-improvement focus, there's the leadership connection there too. Leaders need self-awareness, and so does anyone trying to tap into their intuition.
Yeah, for sure. Understanding your strengths, weaknesses, those blind spots, it's crucial for both personal growth and effective leadership.
Couldn't have said it better myself. But there's one book on this list that, really stands out to me. Lenin's Bodyguard. I mean, talk about leadership challenges, right? That historical setting, it gives you a glimpse into a period of intense change and upheaval.
It does make you wonder, what can we learn from how leaders navigated those past crises? History might just have some surprising lessons for us on how to lead in the present. So it's interesting, right? We've got self-help aligning with leadership development, historical fiction reflecting real-world leadership dynamics, and even escapist fiction. Well, it's giving us a little insight into that human need for stability, for connection amidst all the chaos.
And maybe it's not so black and white, Perhaps even escapist fiction can teach us a thing or two about leading change. Take, for instance, Bradford Boss's Baby. The appeal of a strong, protective figure in those kinds of stories makes you wonder if it reflects a subconscious desire for stability, for security, especially in times when the world feels, well, uncertain. What do you think about that?
It has fascinating. Makes me think about how even romance novels, with their focus on personal relationships, can actually reflect those anxieties about change, about control. Like that happily ever after ending, that idea of finding the perfect partner. It's almost a counterpoint to the constant upheaval of the real world, Like we're seeking reassurance that even amidst change, some things can remain stable, predictable.
And it ties back to Kotter's emphasis on creating a vision for change, right?
Yeah.
Providing a sense of direction, of purpose. Even though he's talking about organizational change, those same principles, well, they apply on a personal level too. When we feel like we have some control over the direction of our lives, we're much more likely to embrace change rather than resist it.
It's true. It's like we're all trying to find that balance, that sweet spot between embracing the unknown and creating a sense of stability for ourselves. But the question is, how do we actually do that? Maybe Kotter has some answers, and maybe some of these best-selling books, even the escapist ones, can offer some clues as well. What do you think, listener? Have you noticed any connections between your own reading choices and how you deal with change in your own life?
We'll be diving deeper into these connections, exploring some more specific examples in the next part of our deep dive. But for now, keep that question in mind, all right? Because what you choose to read, even for pure entertainment, well, it might just reveal something about how you're navigating this constantly changing world. It's funny how we can find echoes of those themes, those big themes like change and control and connection, even in something as as lighthearted as a romance novel.
I know, right? I mean, we were just talking about Bradford Boss's Baby, that whole alpha male trope.
Yeah.
It really makes you wonder if, like, on some level, it speaks to a desire for strong leadership. For someone to take charge, especially now when the world feels so complex.
Yeah, I see that. Like these fictional characters almost become stand-ins for the kind of leadership we're maybe craving in our own lives.
Right.
Someone decisive, someone who can, protect us from all the chaos.
And it's not just about finding a romantic partner either, right? Like it could be yearning for that strong leadership in other areas of life too. Workplaces, communities, maybe even, in our government.
Exactly. It's that basic human need for security, for direction. And that ties back beautifully to what Kotter talks about in Leading Change, right? He really emphasizes that importance of creating a clear vision, like a roadmap for the future. And that helps people navigate change effectively.
So whether it's a fictional alpha male sweeping the heroine off her feet or a real-life leader steering an organization through a crisis, there's that common thread, right? That ability to inspire confidence and provide a sense of stability amidst uncertainty.
Yeah. And that sense of stability, that feeling of, being in control. Well, it's something we seem to be craving more and more these days. You just have to look at the popularity of self-help books. Mind programming, 101 ways to jumpstart your intuition,
It's true. I mean, at first glance, those books seem pretty different from Leading Change, but the more we talk about it, the more I'm seeing those connections.
Oh, absolutely. Mind programming, it emphasizes the power of our thoughts to shape our reality. And Kotter, well, he talks about that importance of establishing a vision for change. In both cases, it's about having a clear idea of what you want to achieve and believing it's possible, right? And even something like intuition, which can seem, a little woo-woo to some people.
Yeah.
Well, it can be pretty valuable in a leadership context, right?
Yeah.
Kotter himself talks about those gut feelings and how important they are in decision-making.
Yeah, for sure. It's not about throwing logic out the window or anything, but it is about recognizing that sometimes our intuition can pick up on signals that maybe our conscious mind just misses.
Right.
That ability to, sense patterns and make connections, well, it can give leaders a real edge.
Couldn't agree more.
So we've got this interesting blend here, you know. We've got those practical strategies from Kotter and then those more intuitive approaches from some of these bestsellers. Like they're both pointing towards different facets of what it takes to navigate change effectively.
It is. And then you've got a book like Lenin's Bodyguard, which offers a completely different perspective.
Totally.
It throws us back into a historical period, right?
Yeah.
Period of intense upheaval where leadership really meant, it meant life or death.
It does. It makes you think about, what can we learn from leaders who faced such extreme challenges? Like what skills, what qualities, what allowed them to survive and even thrive in those types of environments.
Right. And maybe, just maybe, by studying the past, we can gain some insights into how to navigate the complexities of the present, right? Because even though the challenges we face today might be different, that fundamental need for effective leadership, well, it remains constant. For people who can inspire us, guide us through the uncertainty.
Yeah. It's almost like those historical figures, even the fictional ones, they can serve as case studies for us, right? We can analyze their decisions, their successes, their failures, and hopefully extract some valuable lessons from that, lessons that we can apply to our own lives and careers.
I like that, yeah. And it's not just about learning from the big dramatic moments of history, right? Even those seemingly mundane aspects of those stories, the day-to-day interactions, the challenges of building trust, motivating people. Those can offer some really valuable insights into human nature and the dynamics of leadership.
It's true. And it all comes back to that idea of connection, whether it's a romantic connection in a novel, a leader connecting with their team, or even us connecting with history through these stories. It really seems like that ability to forge meaningful connections, well, it's crucial for navigating change effectively. What do you think?
I think you're spot on. Because at the end of the day, we're all in this together, right? Facing these challenges, adapting to new realities, trying to create a better future. And maybe, just maybe, by exploring all these different perspectives, from Kotter's practical framework to, the emotional insights of popular fiction, well, maybe we can gain a deeper understanding of what it takes to lead, to connect, and to thrive in this constantly changing world.
I love that thought. And it's actually a perfect segue to another fascinating title on this bestseller list. Derfor forelsker du dig aldrig i den forkert.
Ooh, yeah.
Now, for our listeners who don't speak Danish, that translates to why you never fall in love with the wrong person.
Okay, interesting.
It's a bold claim, right?
It is.
It almost suggests that there's like a formula or a set of rules for finding love.
Yeah, like a cheat sheet or something.
Exactly. So it makes you wonder, what are those rules? Is there some secret sauce to finding that perfect partner, or is it all just chance and timing?
Maybe a little bit of both. But I think the title, at its core, is really about self-awareness.
Mm-hmm.
It's about understanding ourselves, our values, our needs, and what we truly want in a relationship.
And that self-awareness, that ability to look inward and understand our own motivations, that's so essential for effective leadership too, right? It's about knowing our strengths, weaknesses, being aware of our biases, being open to feedback.
Oh, absolutely. And it's not just about leading others either, right?
Right.
It's about leading ourselves.
Yeah.
Making those conscious choices, taking responsibility for our actions, navigating all the complexities of life with intention and purpose.
Yeah. It's almost like that book title, even though it's about love and relationships, well, it offers a really powerful message for anyone who wants to be a more effective leader, whether it's in their personal life, their career, or their community.
And it ties back to Kotter's emphasis on creating a shared vision, right? Getting everyone on board with the direction of change. Because when we understand ourselves, when we're clear about our own goals and values, well, we're much better equipped to articulate those goals and inspire others to join us on that journey.
It's like that self-awareness is the foundation for everything else, right? It allows us to make more informed decisions, to build stronger relationships, and to navigate change with much greater confidence.
It's like having a map and compass for navigating that uncharted territory of our own lives and careers.
I love that image of a map and compass. It feels so relevant to our conversation about change and leadership. But I'm also aware that we've been talking for a while now, and maybe our listeners need a little break to process all these ideas.
That's a good point. Let's take a pause here and invite our listeners to reflect on what we've discussed so far. What resonates with you? What connections are you making between Kotter's work, these best-selling books, and your own experiences? We'll be back in a moment to continue our deep dive.
Welcome back, everyone. I hope you had a good chance there to, reflect on what we've been talking about. It's really amazing what comes up when you connect a leadership classic like leading change to the stuff topping the charts today, the books everyone's reading.
It is, yeah. It really shows how connected things are, like whether we're, I don't know, consciously looking for guidance or just a good escape, the books we choose, well, they often reflect something deeper, something about our needs and desires,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. And speaking of escapes, I'm curious about a couple titles on this list. We've got Under One Roof and Taking a Shot. They seem to, I don't know, they seem to fall into that category of lighthearted romance, fun, maybe a little steamy too, who knows?
Right, right. And those kinds of books, they provide a valuable escape. It's like stepping into a world where everything just works out, where love conquers all, where the characters get their happy ending. It's almost like a form of self-care
Hmm.
in a way.
Hmm. Interesting. It makes me think about Cotter's emphasis on creating that vision for change. And even though he's talking about organizations, I wonder if there's a parallel there, when
Right.
we allow ourselves to kind of indulge in a little escapism, to picture a world where things are, I don't know, simpler, more joyful. Well, maybe it actually gives us the energy, that resilience that we need to face those challenges in the real world.
I like that. Yeah. It's like we need those moments, those escapes to kind of recharge our batteries so we can come back to the real world with I don't know, a renewed sense of optimism, of motivation.
Yeah. So as we're wrapping up our deep dive today, what what are some key takeaways for our listeners? What can they take away from this exploration of leadership, popular culture, and this theme of change that just seems to keep popping up?
Well, I think the most important takeaway is that, well, change is inevitable, right? I mean, it's happening all around us all the time,
Hmm.
and it's not going to stop. But that doesn't mean we have to be, swept away by it.
Right, exactly. And Cotter reminds us that we can actually shape and influence change. That 8-step process he lays out, well, it provides a practical roadmap for leading through disruption, and not just in our organizations, but in our personal lives too.
Yeah, I think that's important to remember. But it's also crucial to remember that we're not robots. We have emotions, we crave connection, and sometimes we just need a break from it all, from the intensity of it all.
Totally. And that's where those escapist reads come in, right? They offer that temporary break, that respite from the pressures of the world.
Mhm.
And it allows us to kind of recharge those emotional batteries and come back to those challenges, well, with a fresh perspective.
I like that. So, embrace the change, learn from the wisdom of others,
Mm.
but also give yourself permission to escape, to laugh, to cry, to just enjoy the journey.
Yeah, I love that. Embrace the change, but don't forget to take care of yourself along the way. And who knows, maybe you'll find some unexpected inspiration, some guidance in the most, I don't know, most unlikely places, right? Like a steamy romance novel or a historical thriller.
That's the beauty of storytelling, isn't it? It can transport us to different worlds, introduce us to new perspectives, and it can help us make sense of our own experiences.
Absolutely.
Huh.
And as we close out this deep dive, we want to thank you all for joining us on this little journey, this journey of exploration and discovery. We hope it sparked some new insights, inspired you to, I don't know, to think a little differently about the world around you, and maybe even encouraged you to pick up a new book or two.
And remember, the best deep dives, well, they don't end when the podcast's over. They continue, right, in your own mind. As
Yeah.
you reflect on the ideas, you connect them to your own experiences.
So keep exploring, keep questioning, keep learning, and most importantly, keep reading. Because who knows what hidden gems, what wisdom and inspiration you might uncover along the way. Until next time, everyone, happy reading.
See you next time on the Facilitators Deep Dive Podcast, your podcast on your way to facilitation mastery. Until next time.
See you then.